Here we are with another episode of Rock'n Agar. Today it's the pouring episode. So we're at about 130 degrees here, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to start prepping to get everything in the box. That way we'll be around 120 when we pour. As usual, I'll wipe down with isopropyl alcohol and put my rubber gloves on. And we're going to kind of take our sanitizers here, spray myself down again with ISO, spray down some rags with bleach, and then we'll take our tools and we will wipe them down with bleach here in a second. One step that does help here is when you have bigger items like the bleach bottle and the actual agar bottle. They're kind of hard to get in and out of the hole. Initially, you can wipe everything down with your heavy sanitizer, put it inside the box area like I did with the box removed, heavily spray down the bottom and wipe it. And you can kind of avoid any of that shuffle of getting it in there. Basically, the bleach or the heavy sanitizer will stay on there a little bit longer, so as you do this, as long as you do it right before you put the top on and then do your initial spray, you'll be good to go. So in this case, we're getting everything in there loaded up. You can see our fancy plates up in there in the corner as we move our box on top with all our supplies. Spray down one more time just to make sure that we don't have anything on us. Didn't pick it up moving stuff around out there. And here we go. We'll go inside and we'll spray down again. This is to hit any of the stuff that might have collected in there and grab it and sink it down to the bottom and let it sit on the mat below our little workspace there on the little rack. So we'll check our temp here. We're a little hot. Wait here, and what do we got now? Oh, looks like about 118. So we'll go ahead and I think we'll go ahead and pour there. These little thermometers are cheap at any little hardware store. If you got an extra 20 bucks, you can usually pick them up. Now, what you want to do here is you just kind of want to grab the stack with your off hand. In this case, that's my left hand, and you'll see there that I'll put my pinky on the bottom of one side and my thumb on the top of the other. And this will kind of allow me to drop the bottom plate off while holding the lid in my hand. So you'll see me lift up my hand. That's an open plate. And I'll just kind of pour in the center about an inch and a half away from the plate itself above it. And just try and look for a nice, smooth, round pour. Kind of like when you turn your sink on and you got that nice little round dribble coming out. You don't want it a big, wide pour. If you are using an alternative media bottle, that's okay. You'll just kind of have to pour faster and pull back faster in order to not have bubbles and not have it overfill. Anyhow, we just go ahead and we got those filled up. We'll put our cap back on our bottle there, our media bottle. And we'll go ahead and we'll put that on top of the stack. And what that will do is the heat at the very top will cause convection, which will cause the heat to kind of rise from the very bottom of that stack, and most of the condensation will come out of there. We will go ahead and we will leave that overnight, and we'll come back and check it in the morning and see how good it is. Flow hood pouring, just what you wanted. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start with some 60 millimeters. Now, these are actually a little bit harder, smaller to fit in your hand and harder to pour because it's easier to overfill them and to kind of push the agar when you pour fast against the wall and have it go up the wall too high and just have it not quite be great. So you can see here we're about 1 inch over the top, and we're just kind of pouring this nice little bead there. You can tell it looks a lot like when your faucet's on low, and it kind of has that nice little round elliptical look to it. And we're just going to do that all the way up. Just take your time. You can see here at the tail end I kind of pull back a little quickly on the bottle. That kind of alleviates any chance of bubbles. Sometimes at the end of your pouring you can have a bubble appear and you kind of just like, dang it, the whole thing went good through the whole time. If that happens, like I say, just kind of pull off on that bottle a little quicker than you're doing. Just kind of pull back, and that quick motion will sometimes alleviate that. You can also kind of twist the bottle as you finish doing that, and it will also help to do that. I'm not quite sure what the bubble is caused by, but I know in my case it's from old lids. And now we're on to slants. A quick how-to on slants. Now these little orange things you see here I actually made. Those are from, I think, acrylic or, I don't know, some kind of polymer clay. I think polymer clay. Anyhow, you bake it in your oven, it gets hard. You can actually use like a pin or a couple of scalpels, anything to kind of raise up your slant when after you pour it there. What I'll do is I'll pour them at about 20 to 24 milliliters each, because that's the height that my little orange sticks there will hold them up. And so we'll get enough to fill this first little rack that I've made. Now if you want a professional rack, you can check out Mycology Simplified P-Funk. He's got some badass racks that will get you a nice deep slant like I'm doing here. I recommend you do a nice long deep slant. That works better for your long-term storage, more surface space. And you'll see I kind of move them out of the way so that I can use one hand to place them in the back at a nice kind of flat angle there with the blank label facing upward. That way later when those are solid and I'm working with them and I place a transfer in there, they can sit upright naturally, because the gravity, the weight of that agar in the bottom will keep that label upright just like I poured it. Anyhow, that's about all there is to it. Slants are pretty easy. Just make sure you pour them quick and fast. I like to go ahead and leave my plates out in front of the flow hood. If they're real bad, I'll kind of crack the tops like that on them. But typically I'll just leave them like that, directly in front of the flow hood. Turn them every half hour to an hour. Takes around 2 to 3 hours for mine to clear out. Some folks it takes overnight. In the still air box, you can see that we had pretty good results just leaving that overnight with the hot bottle on top. A little bit of moisture on the sides, but hey, for a still air box, that ain't too bad. What do you know?